The Hobby King Pitts Special is one of my favorite aeroplanes. I just had to convert it into a float plane. I used the floats from GWS, and the following video will provide the details to do your own conversion. The conversion was done using 0.78 inch wire for the main struts and 0.20 wire for the interconnecting struts. I closed up the battery hatch with white electrical tape because I found that water was getting in there. I made the struts a little wider than the normal wheels just to give it a little more stability on the water. The rearmost attachment was made with 3 layers of plywood. The main strut itself has a sort of a V shape that goes in between these screws there. The attachment itself has 3 layers. The bottom layer is glued to the aircraft. The middle layer is shaped to accommodate the shape of the main strut, and the top layer keeps it all down with the screws. The interconnecting 0.20 wires is attached to the main struts with cord, which is then soaked with CA glue. It is an extremely strong connection. When you make your main struts, make them a little wider than you want, and then use the 0.20 wire to bend it closer to the desired width. That way, the wire will always be under tension, and it will give you a very rigid, strong mount. When you mount your floats, make sure that you know where the ideal center of gravity is. My center of gravity is just a hair in front of the leading edge of the bottom wing. I think that's where most people find the airplane flies its best. When you position the floats, make sure that the step on the float is mounted slightly behind your center of gravity. On my airplane, it is approximately 1/2 inch behind the center of gravity. Also, the alignment of the floats with the length axis of the airplane is extremely important. You would like the bottom of the front end of the float to be lower than the rear of it. This way, the aircraft is pointing slightly upwards when sitting on the floats, as you can see here. This is called the positive angle of incidence for the wing and helps the aircraft take off. It also gives it a more natural approach angle during landing. It is extremely important to rebalance your aircraft after mounting your floats to check that the center of gravity was not disturbed. Interestingly enough, I did not have to add any weight to this aircraft as the center of gravity did not change with the floats. I found that the canopy was coming loose and secured it with white electrical tape. The GWS floats are quite light and very easy to assemble. You have to glue the plastic bottom part to the foam top part, and then there is a wooden support that goes into a slot on the top. It comes with mounting hardware. Make sure, absolutely sure, that you have the seal between the foam and the plastic part watertight. I used 30-minute epoxy and a syringe to gently guide epoxy into that seam so that it is definitely watertight. There is air in the plastic part below the foam, and therefore it's important to make a little breather hole. When the float cools down in the water, that air is going to shrink. My little breather is in the form of a little tube that goes through the foam, which is mounted right on there. I used the inside of a ballpoint pen as a little tube to do that breather. To see it fly, search my other videos for Hobby King Pitts Special on floats.